Oh, what's good, y'all? Welcome to Kicking It with Dream, presented by Dream Big TV Productions. And y'all already know we are back. We are back. We are back, baby, with another interview. Not only that, I just don't have one guest, but I have two. I have two, you guys. And not only that, but when I tell you they are, the collaboration of these guys are like so amazing. I don't think the world is ready for it. But y'all already know how I do it. I allow them to go ahead and introduce themselves. So please, by all means necessary, go ahead and let the people know who you are.
How everybody doing? So I am Solsong,
And I'm
and we are Duke
Duke
and
and Sol.
Soul.
Duke&Sol. You guys, them just saying that period together, I caught chills. Okay, they just let you know it's going to be something. It's going to be something crazy. Serious though, because it's just like the collaboration and then how y'all feed off each other energy when it comes down to the music. So I mean, let's go ahead and get into it. How did you guys actually meet each other?
You want to go first? You want me?
I can go first.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Well, our families are kind of connected. Like I have an older sister. Her grandmother went to church with his family for years. So his mom and my mom became friends when my mom was maybe about 17, 18. They kind of disconnected due to life. And then years later, I had a younger brother who ended up going to his mom daycare. And I would see them every day. So from that point on, we just have been in each other's lives, really all of our life, to be honest. But I as far as this now, like us being best friends, probably my junior year. Was it junior year in high school?
Yeah, because we went to different schools growing up. Like we saw each other, but we never like crossed paths because we went to different schools until he came to my school in high school, and then we were both in choir, and then that's kind of when it kind of popped off because we also both joined gospel choir, and that's when it really popped off, and we really like kind of meshed, and we were like, okay, like you can sing, I can sing, like this, you know what I'm saying?
I'm
So
being honest though, I was a little bit mean because I used to think I was just the best singer in Arthur Hill. So everybody used to always say, "Y'all need to really connect because he could sing." And I say, "But can he sing like me?" We had an engagement, the gospel choir.
yeah, we went somewhere and sang. We
Mhm.
went somewhere and sang at a church, and I led the song, and that's when I guess I got his
My stamp of approval.
his stamp of approval.
I said, "Oh, who is this?" So then, like on the way leaving from that performance, we were on the bus and we were like kind of talking like, why haven't we ever talked? And then we ended up finding out we had a lot of the same musical interest. And I was like, oh, you know this song? He's like, yeah, I know this song. And when we started singing it, it just was like we blended together. We kind of stopped and looked at each other like, this something. So it kind of built from there. Then we developed our own friendship because I actually like him a little bit. Like he a cool dude when he wants to be. So
I mean, we all have our moments. We you can deal with us at certain point in time, and then sometimes we just be like, let us be by ourselves. We human. We human. We human. So I get it. I get it. So I mean, man, I'm trying to figure out exactly where to start. Okay, so Solsong. Let me get to you because this is our second time actually. Sitting down. I'm not gonna say face to face, but we're literally face to face.
Yeah,
Um,
hopefully we can sit down face to face. I'm about to come out to you in Houston, right?
uh,
You,
I would say yes, but actually I'm in Louisiana right now as
oh, you
well
in
too.
Louisiana? Okay, okay,
So
oh,
right, so I'm kind of back and forth between the two as well. So I
okay.
mean, like since the first time I talked to you, man, it's just been like before we actually started recording, you saying that you kind of been just like a little quiet, but you also been working a little bit behind the scenes. So
Mhm.
like from our first interview, which was like a year ago, you guys, if y'all go back and look
Right.
at my
Yeah,
YouTube
whole year.
channel, you'll see that we actually sat down and we talked before. But like, what has been new from then to now? Like, what have you been working on?
Well, so I think like so I don't even know if I mentioned this in like the first interview, but like before all of the voice stuff, like I was kind of like done with music, like I kind of touched on that the last interview, but I was kind of done as far I wasn't done necessarily with music, but I was done trying to like make it a career.
Mhm.
But that kind of like put a like fire under my butt that like, oh, okay, like maybe like that was also like the third time, things happen in threes. So that was like the third time I was about to give up. And when that happened, I was like, okay, everything just keeps bringing me back to that. It's kind of like nothing in my life actually works out if it's not music. Like if I try to do anything, even if I'm good at it, if it's not music, it always kind of crumbles and brings me back to here. So I felt
Mhm.
like my time to like stop running. So I was like, okay. So I really just started writing and just started doing music and just writing stuff, composing stuff. And I know we have been trying and talking about doing stuff for a long time. So
Mhm.
after a while of me doing stuff, I started sending stuff to him. We started talking about stuff. And then long story short, because I can be long-winded, long story short, this is kind of how we ended up kind of getting to this point. But
Mhm.
I've been working on a lot of stuff and composing a lot of stuff. And I was like, okay, I think it's time for me to like I think I'm actually ready to do my own stuff. I was like really afraid to be vulnerable, to really put my own music out there because I like so much stuff that I find it to be a daunting task when you have to do something when you think, you know, like with the canvas of everybody expecting something of you, or what are you gonna sound like, what are you gonna sing, what type of music you're gonna sing, blah blah blah. And I like so many genres. Like my favorite singer, like one of my number one favorite singers is an Arabic singer. I'm not coming out with any Arabic music, but that's like one of my favorite singers.
Mhm.
So I listen to so much stuff, and I'm like, I don't really know how I would compile that all into one thing, but I am doing it. So I guess the plug is I am also coming out with the solo EP soon, and yeah, just look for that. It's gonna be obviously not normal, but I am also not normal. So
It's
Mhm.
fire. Like outside of our stuff, I'm sorry if I interrupt you.
no,
He some kind of way has found a way to have his own sound because he was working on his stuff prior to us kind of coming together, because I took a little bit of convincing because we had went through, like he said, some things in the past musically that didn't pan through, so I had been discouraged. But he kind of encouraged me, and then when he presented me with like, I think we could do this, like, I was like, okay. And then when it actually clicked, I'm like, we should have been did this. But
right.
besides his stuff, he got one. I know the words to all of his demos because he'll send them to me so I can hear. I can't wait for you guys. Is that the
But
single?
Fred 20,
Yeah.
yeah.
This single is gonna be something different. Okay, I'll let you talk, but
No,
it's
that
it's
was it.
amazing. Like it's good.
That was it. Yeah, that was it. So
Look,
yeah,
right.
that happened.
So Duke, how long have you like? At what age have you really started singing?
Um, I always sung. I would say maybe I realized I wanted to sing about 8 when my grandma, she had like a big boom box and she would just have CDs. You'd be over your grandma's house, you want to be under your grandparents, but it could get kind of boring.
Yeah, right.
So I would like just put her old CDs in her CD player and listen. And at the time there was a group called Risen from our hometown. They had blew up on the gospel scene. Those are my
Yeah,
god
you know, Risen.
sisters. So I would see them in church, like I was familiar with them, and I would like mimic them vocally. And
Mhm.
that's when I started to be like, I kind of want to sing. That was maybe the first kind of plug.
Right. Yeah. I remember when Risen first came out, yo. When I tell you I was a fan, like I'm still a
Yeah.
fan now, I would go back and look at their videos and stuff, and I'm just like, where are they now? So it's just like that should have been one of the groups for sure that actually kept pushing forward, But hey, we know life, it takes its turns and stuff, but I'm hoping that they actually, you know, redevelop. In other
Oh, they
words,
did. To
Yeah,
plug to
yeah.
plug them, my girls, they have 2 new singles out. So they're supposed to come out with a new project. I just think that it's different when you got that machine behind you. A lot of people don't know, but they got look it up when we get done. They have a single called He'll Be There, and it's fire. And then they remade View the City. So they got 2 singles out right now.
Yeah, I remember you. I'm gonna view that holy city one of these days. You
Yeah.
know that.
Oh, let
Yeah,
me find out you sing. She said, ah,
You do sing.
you
yeah.
do?
Oh
Or
yeah, I do.
did you say
But
you were a soprano?
yeah, I'm soprano.
Yeah,
I can
Yeah.
okay.
hear. Okay.
Right.
I
But back
want
to
to
the show.
I'm trying not to be shady, but I
Right,
wouldn't have
let's
said nothing unless you could sing. Okay.
Right.
let's do
But
something.
yeah, I actually remember, yo. Like when I say I used to listen to all of their music, like all of them, and I would just put it on the TV and just let it rock and roll, let it rock and roll. But that is crazy though. That is crazy. So I mean, like, as for besides Risen, like as for growing up, what other artist has actually influenced you to just do what it is that you're doing now? Like as for singing, pushing what it is that you want to push.
The Clark sisters. Oh
no, but specifically
Twinkie Clark.
Yeah,
that is my number one all-time favorite singer.
Rightfully so. But
oh my goodness, like the tone. I will sit to this day, and I'm trying not to go on a tangent because there's so much I love this woman. I will, certain people listen to songs and they'll be like, oh, I like this song. I will go on a YouTube video and play a specific second of a specific song over and over just because of the tonality of it, like the phrase.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, Twinkie Clark is my number one. The Clark sisters, Vanessa Bell Armstrong, Jay Moss, Daryl Coley, and I would say secular, Jill Scott, Tweet.
I forgot about Tweet.
Her, like I can go on and on. I feel like I'm SWV.
I was gonna say you.
Where's the Clark sisters gospel, SWV, R&B? Like, yeah, but yeah, love them.
Right. So I mean, like, how has it been as for, because like you said, both of you guys has grew up, in church singing, and then now it's like you're kind of lingered off a little bit to where it's like R&B, soul music. Like how has that transition been for both of you? I mean, whichever one you want to go first.
I mean, well, so like, growing up, like I did a different, like many different kinds of singing. So like growing up, not only was I singing in church, like I was singing mariachi music. Like my first actual experience recording like actual CD was mariachi standards. I did a recording of 6 mariachi songs. I mean, I sang in like a classical setting, and when I was young, not before I went to school, but like so, like my grandma, there was this lady at my church who sang in this choral society, the Saginaw Choral Society, and she was like, "You need to get into the youth one." And so I ended up singing there, and I actually got like a solo in like that little choir, and like that was in I think it was either in like Hebrew or Danish or something like that, or Dutch or something. But like I got introduced to so many different kinds of music, and I think that was still during the time. I feel like old saying this, but I think it was LimeWire or LimeWire when you used to download when you used to. I used to literally like download. I used to just type in world music too on there and just download all kinds of stuff. And I was listening to music, and really was just like, and again, I got like blues and jazz singers and stuff in my family too. So it's like I was really exposed to a lot of different music. And so I think that's why I'm so like adamant about, with my own stuff and even with our stuff, like adamant about like doing different things vocally or like trying something out musically, not just like one type of bringing other elements. Because the one thing too about like Black music is that it's like the genres, like you can't really count Black music genres on one hand. Even though a lot of people try to, you can't count Black music genres on one hand. Like you can maybe say an umbrella, but even R&B and neo soul as an umbrella branches out even to many different places in the world, So
right. And for Duke, like how was that transition for you as well?
It wasn't hard because gospel was something I came into on my own as like a preteen teen. My mom actually listened to, if she listened to gospel, it was like a lot of choral work or something slow, like a praise and worship song. But I was exposed to like the Judds, the Dixie Chicks. My dad likes a lot of blues singers, and of course he likes that old school hip hop. My grandma, she was the gospel head, but even her, she, would listen to a lot of James Brown and isn't that is his name Jesse Dixon or something. So gospel was kind of what I was drawn to because of the impassioned vocals per se, but it wasn't necessarily my first love. Really, it had to be maybe like 90s R&B because that's all I listened to.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah,
right. Yeah, I still do the same thing. Trust me. So don't feel bad. I feel like during the 90s, excuse me, anytime kind of before that, like R&B was R&B. Now it's just like, what's going on? So I mean, I'm not knocking it because as it goes, things change. Just like most people are into hip hop, gospel now. So it just like it kind of varies a little bit too as well. So I mean, like as for collaborating with each other, like how is that going for you guys?
It's second nature.
Yeah.
Because we're like siblings. Like 1 minute we'll be laughing, next minute we'll be arguing, but it's just a love between us. And I think it comes across vocally too, because sometimes when we say certain things, like our voices are very distinctive of each other's, but they're also very similar as far as like approach and tonality. So when we blend, we sound like one person a lot of times. So it's been kind of easy. It's kind of like, it feels like to me picking up where we left off as kids.
Yeah.
You know?
And I also want to mention too, you know, in high school, kind of like into early college years, we were in an actual gospel group together named Available with some of our other friends and one of my cousins actually. And so we've been actually like we have sang together before in a group, you know. So like this isn't necessarily like fresh territory, it's just picking up from where we left off.
Right.
You know, so we've been singing together for a long time. And even when we haven't been doing anything like professionally or anything, just on the phone, like singing and
2 or 3 in the
and
morning.
to 2 or 3 in the morning, just battling. Like literally, people I don't know, but it's like literally just on speakerphone, just running and singing. Literally till 3 a.m. Like not even having a conversation. Like I'm kid you not even talking, literally just singing and trying to like, compete and see who can do or just singing stuff together or whatever. That's just like what we used to do. That's just like been a part of our friendship anyway. So, you know, this kind of naturally fell into what it is, you know, which people will see.
Right. So let's go back to when you actually had your gospel group. And you know, back then it used to kind of be easy to where, you know, you're able to actually put your music out there because back then, you know, people used to post up in front of the gas stations, here go the CD, you know, that type of stuff. But now social media has basically taken over with promoting or anything that it is that you want to do. So how do you feel like social media impact the music industry?
I feel like it's like a catch-22 for me. Like going back to when we were recording, um, it was hard. Like we worked with one producer and we went to school with him. You know, shout out to him, hope he's doing well. But it was like a lot of things that I wish we'd have known now that we didn't know then, as far as the business wise, like as far as when you pay a deposit, don't start another song till this song is done. Or just as a musician, not relying so heavily on the opinion of the producer, but actually doing your homework and coming in, you know. Um, back then we had like a concert, and as you stated, we were putting flyers on the cars, you know, we had it announced on radio, packed out the church. Versus now it's so different because it's like I didn't realize how much work social media is. It's made it easier. Like when we have found producers, we're able to find them on the website. You can book it on the website. Your payment is secure. Your work is protected when you do it that way. So it's easier in that aspect. But as far as like the promotion piece, it's like a whole different world. You know, I'll try to do a reel and I'll be frustrated because it will take an hour to 2 hours for you to post a minute and 30-second reel, you know. I feel like it's something for me to learn. He's more familiar with that aspect, so I'm kind of learning. So I don't know. You might. What do you think? Like
You said like what do we think social media has done for the music industry?
Yeah, like how do you think the social media actually impact the music industry?
Yeah, I kind of I think like obviously it's easier for you to get your music heard around the world, right? And like you also have an opportunity that not necessarily that it needs to be at the forefront of your mind, but like somebody can hear your music from wherever. You never know what'll happen now. And that's kind of what I like about it. Like you literally never know who's looking at you. Like you never know who's listening to you and who's following you. And you know, a few years ago, like I was on social media pretty heavily a few years ago, and I mean, I just liked the fact that like there was so many. I felt like I had this community musically of people that I didn't even know, other musicians and stuff, and I felt like at that time everybody was supporting each other. So there was a time when like you know on social media where all musicians would share each other's stuff, right? Like all the people that in the group would share each other's stuff and you know whatever, even if they didn't know you and like other, you know. So it was just like it started off. I felt like in the early parts of when I was on social media as more of a collective, and I think with TikTok coming on the rise, like with the influencers, I think that has kind of made a lot of like artists, no matter what the artist, kind of take a little bit of a backseat because now people are looking more for influencer content versus actual music and art. So like this is no shade to influencers. It's just like I think that now it's like, well, a lot of artists and musicians rely on influencers to share their stuff. And I'm like, it didn't used to be that way. So I think that avenue I don't really like about it. But I also think that like I have met so many people on social media, from around the world. Like, like at one point I even had this one guy. I had this one guy, where was he from? I think he was from Russia or something. He was a producer and he was like, "Oh, like I really like your voice. Like let's try to do something together." Like just stuff like that. The fact that stuff like that can happen is why I really like social media because like I said, some of my dreams about going across the waters to collaborate with other musicians, I don't really have to travel for that. I can just do that online. But the influencer thing, and that, I kind of don't like that part of it. Yeah, that's true. Like the producer that like pretty much produced like our entire, almost our entire EP. Like he's from, is he from Russia?
I think
he's an immigrant from Russia. Yeah, like but he's in LA, based in LA. But like it's just like, and like he has a love for neo soul and R&B. But he's also from across the way. So I don't know. Social media has definitely done us some good in that way.
Right, and I heard you were speaking as well too. Like how social media has this. It kind of has its ups and downs. But is there anything that you can actually change in the music industry? What would it be?
Say that one more time.
If it was anything in the music industry you could change, what would it be?
In the music industry? Honestly, I don't really know if people would be ready for the okay, I'll say this. So this is kind of something that I want to do, and I think that would change the music industry. And I'm sure there's other people trying to do it, but I kind of want to build a collective, like a collective co-op. And it's taking the same idea of a co-op in a business, but taking it to the music industry. So then, for example, you get singers, instrumentalists, engineers, all this stuff, and we create our own collective. The thing about the collective, though, is that everybody is an equal partnership of this collective, and everybody has access to like the funds are for the collective. So like not one person can get rich and like nobody else can. It's like the money is for the collective. So say for example you got a project you want to do, you just go to the collective and everybody puts in the sweat equity. Everybody has an equal stake into the project. So every artist of the collective matters no matter what your whatever you do, whether you're an engineer, a singer, a poet, whatever, everybody has a stake and everybody wants that to get out because we all like have a stake in it. I think that something like that would change the music industry. I also just think that like more people supporting the people have to know the transparent the people that are in the music industry that are not necessarily too far gone need to be a bit more transparent about it so that the people know what's going on outside of the conspiracy theories, just the business side of it. So it's like it's really important for you to support us in the beginning. It's like it's like people need to go look for music. Like I know a lot of people who only look at what's given to them, but like I'm somebody who goes to search for music and search for underground artists. People need to go look for music. I hear so many people talking about music isn't this, especially my parents' generation. Y'all don't do this, y'all don't do that. And I keep telling them, y'all not looking for music. Y'all stuck on what was there. There are a lot of artists that are 100% comparable to the people you used to listen to. You're just not searching for it. So I would say, sorry for being long-winded, but I would say people need to go search for artists and support them, not just wait for Spotify to give them suggestions. Like go look for it. You know what I mean? You spend tons of time swiping. Do that for musicians. Like that's what you can do to support a lot of us, is to actually go out there and look. Because we out there, but we're spending the money to get to you, but you could also meet us halfway. Those of us that don't have the machine behind us spending millions of dollars for promotion.
Right. And as for you, Duke, what would your answer be if you could change anything in the music industry? What would it be?
Maybe going back to artist development, because and it actually being about talent and not numbers, because it's the part that we enjoy. Like I was telling him, when we wrote on this project during the pandemic, so we would be up it because we had not recorded or really came up with nothing as us two in over a decade. So it's like just coming up with that and then being excited to like send it off to the producer and then get it back. That aspect is fun. But then it's like when you get to the nitty gritty, I'm a little intimidated because it's like I don't know, I feel like we're learning everything on our own, and I wish that there was more of like I just wish people weren't so focused on the numbers and actually saw the talent, and they would like be willing to not necessarily share financial resources but knowledge. There's knowledge out there if you seek it, but it's nothing like having someone who was an A&R or someone behind the scenes to actually kind of be like, okay, I think you guys should do this, or let me listen to this song. I think that this would be good for this season. Or, we have to figure out everything on our own. So I feel like I wish there was more of that, like how there was back in the day. Like there was a scout who fought for you at the label, even though I don't want to be signed to a label because there's some evil stuff going on. But just that aspect, maybe the artist development, I would want that to be back in the industry now, and it's not really there.
Well, the thing is that too, like there is like the things you have to pay for that stuff.
Yeah.
Like they got all these websites now where like the A&Rs or all these people in the that work for these labels, you have to pay for it. So it's like let me pay $100 to send my song to this this A&R or this exec just for them to give me feedback, and it's like that is just more ways for them to make money, and that has nothing to do like that doesn't help us at all.
Right. Right, because I feel like, of course, most of the people that's out there in the community, they're going to give you that honest feedback. They're going to let you know, okay, y'all banging. Of course, there's going to be criticism, but at the same time, that criticism you take to where you can build off of that.
I feel like we're working on being more interactive in terms of not just letting it be about the music. It is about the music first and foremost, but there's also a kinship between us. So we want to look at the people who support us more as like family. And I think by us kind of showing more of our personalities and interacting with them and making them feel a part, I feel like that would kind of make them feel included. Be willing to, hear feedback from them because that's your consumer, not to talk, but that's your consumer. So what do you guys like? Like this first project, I don't want to say it's a test dummy because we really have taken some time to like develop this music and hone our gifts in this, but we do want to like hear what they think. What do you like from us? We're going to always be creative. Like we were saying, we never want to be in competition with what we did prior, but we just want the next project to be different, a good different. But we do kind of want to listen to hear, okay, what do they like from us? Like, let's try to give them something similar, but we can't, we're going to try to be innovative and, evolve. We don't want everything to sound the same. So I think just kind of making them feel like family, that's how we plan to kind of get that feedback. We know with family, there's going to be some people, this ain't it. Like, y'all should do this, y'all should do that, listening to what they say, but also having to respect the fact that we are artists and we need to be able to explore our creative side as well when it comes to creating this music.
Okay. How do you feel like your fans can relate more to your music? How can you relate more with your fans?
How can they relate to us, or how? So you're saying, so how can we relate to them? How can we relate to them?
How can they, or how you feel they can relate more to your music?
How they can relate more to our music. So as far as so this is actually a good opportunity because like as far as the relating to our music, I can talk about, for example, I won't say the title of one of the songs. I guess can I? Okay, so we have one song that's called "Get Up," and it's called and like the first line of it, for example, is like it's been real hard to get up lately, trying to find my way back to me. Just like that. Like so that whole song was like I was going through like the base level of it first was like I was going through like a very like kind of deep seated like it was like a long-winded depression. It was like kind of like it was like the first time I really experienced something like that, and it was really heavy. And I think that's something that, like, when I wrote that, one of the things that I feel about music is like I can listen to a song, me personally, and I can tell that the person is not emotionally connected to it. And so I don't feel anything from it. And I can tell when somebody is emotionally connected to it, whether they say, whether it's, whatever. But like, so I feel like that song, the way that we arranged it and the way that it's sung and the way that it's like, it will make sense to you that that song is about depression.
Mm-hmm.
Not, this is something I want to get across though, not just in the lyrics, it's in the way that we arrange the vocals and the music. It's everything. Like everything gives it gives depression and coming out of it, right? It's actual musical composition, not just me saying I'm depressed. It's like, no, listen to this chord that I just made, that we made, like with the voices. Like this is a 5/6 or whatever. This is depression, you know? So it's like, I think that like our music is relatable. I mean, we have another song that talks about, it's called Fine Wine, and it talks about like, oh, like we are passing through time. We think we're aging like fine wine. Like a lot of people are around here living in a delusion about what's going on in the world, and that like we have a crazy amount of time to live, and that delusion is making them not care about what's actually happening. It's like a lot of people think like, oh, if I can live longer. No, if honestly, if we could live in like a very like balanced egalitarian way and you only live to 30, you don't live the best 30 years of your life. Why would you want to live for 80 years in a delusion and turmoil, ignorance, and what's going on with the planet, all that stuff? So that song is really, our songs are about the time, self-reflection, what's going on in the world. And I honestly just saw this TikTok the other day, and the TikToker was saying, kind of really tired of these artists not singing about what's going on in the world. And I was like, oh, I mean, nothing's out yet, but we got something. Like,
Right.
That's what I would say.
And then going back, like I took an ethics class and we studied a lot of different religions. And it's crazy that you talked about fine wine, because a lot of people tend to be ignorant when it comes to religions that are not their own. But there can be something drawn from everything. Like the Buddhist, in Buddhism, the Buddha taught that the reason why people aren't enlightened or haven't reached enlightenment is because they focus on what's to come and not focused on the now. It says of all suffering is desire. I don't like how he worded that, but I got what he was saying.
But that's also a translation.
Yeah.
I just want to point out.
Yeah, you're right. So it's like you know, you spend so much time focused on what could have been, and like he said, if I could live 80 years and I'll reach that point, versus finding happiness in now, you know, and trying to make the best out of life right now. You might not have a lot of money, but you're not starving, you know, you have a place. And even if you don't have a place, what can you find out of life that will bring you enlightenment, you know? And kind of circle that back around. That's like fine wine. We are passing through time. We think we're aging like fine wine. Like we think we are doing so good and we're going to meet this end. You're going to look back and realize we're getting old, and we worried about all that time wasted, you know? So I think like he said, they can relate to our music. And going back to Get Up, we actually, shout out to our producer, Mark Evich, but our process is we'll come up with the demos on our own. He doubts his gifts, but I feel like for the next project, I'm going to try to get better, because I'm the one in the studio where I'll be like, I will come up with something on my head. He'll be like, I can't hear it. You're going to have to sing it to me. And then we'll come up with stuff that way. So it's an equal contribution. But those initial demos, he will sit up in this room for hours and hours and hours. He'll call me, what do you think about this? I'm like, no.
It'd be because it'd be a lot. Like also, yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But
like when we sent it off to the producer, he came up with a beautiful composition. It was cold, but it wasn't Get Up. You know, it didn't feel like Get Up. It didn't. And we literally would have song references that we would say, we want this kind of feel. You know, we need this to feel like this. We need this chord, you know, in this, because the message, you know, we need to not only sing it, they need to feel it with everything, how we phrase the vocals, how the music sounds with the vocals, the lyrics, you know. He ended up knocking out the park after we sent it back, but we have been very intentional with making sure that the music matches the message, you know, so it comes across that we're actually, this is a lived experience, you know.
Right. So you said Fine Wine, and then you also said Get Up. So I'm sure I'm not the only one, but our audience would also like to have like a little sample of you know, of what we can expect. Any one of those, you know, if y'all up to it. But
it's been real hard to get up late. trying to find my way back to me. It's been real hard to get up lately. No light in the dark, I can't say. And then it's like, ooh, open my eyes so I can see, light the fire inside me. Sometimes it feels heavy, like I'm anchored to the ground, drowning. Yeah, like it's kind of hard too because like we got like it's like in some of the parts of the songs too, it's like 6-part harmony.
Yeah.
So it's like a little weird, but out of
Look,
context.
I feel you, okay? I'm over here like, okay, because I mean, it's just like, I mean, it just, even though, you know, yeah, that y'all kind of, you know, flexing with it a little bit, it just, you still can hear the vocals, you know, like that's pure talent, pure talent. Yeah, so I mean, like, as for 2024, you know, like, we are still towards the beginning, we are in March now. So as for collaborating with each other, what do you hope 2024 actually bring you to?
Ooh, 2024. Well, what we know is gonna bring in the near future, because we are in the mixing and mastering phase, we hope to have a single out. We were trying to have it out by now, but there was a couple of setbacks with it. So we kind of recalibrating what song we want to release because certain songs fit certain seasons, if that makes sense. So we're trying to discuss, but I believe it's safe to say they can hear something by end of spring, early summer, probably. And then we'll probably release a single at the later part of the year and then try to release the project.
I mean, I think as initially, like, I mean, they're gonna be hearing snippets.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna hear something, they're gonna hear something. Like you hear something, you know what I mean? Like, but it's like full, yeah. Like, but it's coming. And I would say, you know, just keep watching kind of that road to that, you know, because that's also part of it, is like we're also showing the background, the road to it coming out.
Right.
You know, which again, you know, and I'm doing the same thing for my EP, is showing the behind the scenes of it, because it's like you got to humanize that, because people just think stuff like this happen. People know, people don't think that it does, but people act like it happens overnight. Like, no, this is some sweat, tears, money, working multiple jobs, like independent artists, maybe. Like, we don't got no machine behind us. This is all our funds. You know what I mean? Like nobody else's.
And not only that, you have to be an advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, like, one thing about us, we handle the business. You're gonna always get paid on time. We're not gonna try to skip you out. But by us being new artists, you're not gonna play with us either. You know, you're not gonna make us feel like because you work with this person that we come second. You know, independent artists, just know you don't have to accept anything because you're trying to make connections. I feel like the first part,
that's true.
We didn't want to. I'm be honest, I have a very dominant personality, especially when it comes to business, and it comes by, you know, natural and by trade because of the line of work I've had to do. So I didn't want to seem to be difficult or to be bugging anybody. But what we've learned is there's just a way you can go about things with still having people take you serious. You know, a lot of times when they think you're too nice as an independent artist, you get walked over, or a lot of people we worked with didn't know that we had recorded years ago prior. We actually have we got a whole unreleased project, you know, we were younger, but now we're grown. I'm about to be 31 in a couple of weeks. So it's like independent artists, to kind of wrap this up, be pleasant to work with. Don't be difficult, like you have arrived. We know you have the talent, but also be an advocate for yourself. Do not let anybody walk all over you. And if you handle your business, you have every right to expect to be treated a certain type of way, you know?
True. True that. So I mean, like, I'm still stuck in that loop of exactly what y'all just gave me just now. Not only that, but it's just like I said, I also watch the videos on Instagram as well too, and I'm hearing, you know, like how y'all can actually like, okay, you have that ear, you know, it's like, okay, no, let's try this, you know. So like music, I saw the part when you was telling me like, okay, well, how about you try this? But also Duke, I saw him when you was like the run, you know, or the scat. That's the part that I saw. And it was like, okay, now we got it. So the fact that both of y'all have that ear to where you're like, okay, that's what it is. That's it right there. That's it right there. So I mean, like, do y'all plan on doing any shows like in the making, or how do y'all plan on doing that as well?
Well, I mean, definitely shows in the future. I mean, once we get things out, I mean, it's kind of a plan to start, kind of perfecting like a little show that we can go and perform some stuff. Definitely. I mean, we're in the Detroit area, so we will definitely be trying to get out there in that scene and hopefully, go from there. But I think again, like I said about humanizing the journey is because we are, even though we're not new artists, this is new setting, like starting the journey of like really getting out there. This is new, but as like being artists or being musicians and singers, well, that's not new, but doing this is new. So that definitely is the goal, is to, play shows and
I feel
stuff
like you
like
could
that.
say new artists too, because we were kids. I would say this is the first. Now that we're grown, like we know what we sound like, we know what we
Yeah.
want. We're more in control. We did all of our writing, co-producing. Like, so that would be a completely, new experience for us. If you say it's like a way, it's different. Like this time around feels more. I have issues sometimes. I get nervous if I feel unrehearsed. If I'm rehearsed, oh, we can go. So when we be in the studio, the improv portion when we were younger, I would not want to do. I want to sing my part. I would get stuff together and then kind of like sit down. Versus for me, going to the studio now, it's only us two. I can't lean on somebody else. Oh, I can't get this. Can you come record? Like I try to do it now. And he'd be like, no, we're gonna do this until you get it right. So that aspect is new for me. It's like, just push it. Because I'll be like, oh, you can do it in a minute.
Right.
Yeah. I think something I've been learning about myself is like I definitely don't like I don't voice myself in a way that, like, I don't just spill everything about myself to anybody at all, whatever. So most people, like, if you know something about me, I'm either gonna have to tell you or somebody else gonna have to tell you, but most likely somebody else is gonna have to tell you because I'm not just outwardly saying it. And so by making the comment I made earlier was just saying, like, I feel like, you gotta, the whole point of like standing strong and firm and really knowing yourself is like I've been doing stuff for a long time. I just haven't, nothing has taken off to the point where the public has seen it. Like, you know how like a lot of people think like, oh, they call people overnight artists. And like, there's no such thing as that. That person has been working since they were 14, and they finally got a big enough platform where enough people saw them. But that's what I mean by like, like we're not new.
Yeah.
Like I've been like I was on Instagram in the early days making content too. Like I've been trying to do stuff for a long time, and it's just the name of it. Like I've had things that I thought were gonna get me somewhere. Like I've had opportunities that could have led me somewhere pretty big, but they fell through. So it's like that's been my kind of whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, maybe something. Nope. Maybe something. Nope. Maybe something. Nope. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's kind of like, but that doesn't take away from the fact that like I'm still doing it. Just because I may not have succeeded in the way that have got me some sort of fame or whatever, it doesn't mean that I'm not like, and I think that's also something I want to dispel too, because it's like it's okay being an underground artist. Like it really is, because like I mean, there's some underground artists who stay booked.
I was just about to say those are the ones who
They stay booked all the time and they ain't worried about nobody Grammy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, because, but it's like, yes, I'm not saying that that's not something. If you want to aspire to that, of course, right? But we all know, if you got to be set up in a certain way to even be considered for that. So if that's what you're going for, know your path. But also don't discount the fact that you can have a career in like a fan base that really, truly vibes with your music. You know what I'm saying? And that's enough. And they'll push you where you need to be or where you're going,
Right. Okay. Do anything?
And I was just saying that's what I prefer. I would prefer to have somebody who organically is a supporter of mine. Like you look out there singing the lyrics, like they appreciate your growth. They've been on this journey with you, as opposed to somebody who just wants to get you to a certain amount of sales, you know, because
Right.
those people don't come out to the concerts. They don't support the streams, you know, they just go off what's popular at the time, you know?
Right. Right. Okay. And for my last question, you guys, and of course, you know, people that are going to tune in, but not only that, but they're also going to have other people that are, you know, trying to pursue the music industry, the movie industry, any industry basically that you know they really want to step out in full forward, like their dream. In other words, what advice would you actually give them to make sure that they don't give up?
Start. And when you start, number one, because the hardest thing to do when you have a dream, you have all these thoughts that are inside your head. Like, am I going to be received well? Are people going to support me? Am I going to sound a mess? Is my music going to be corny? You know, these are all thoughts that I had coming into this. But once we started, what's for you is for you. You know, your sound is your sound. It's going to come. And we have a sound that they will hear, but we still want to evolve. It's going to be something that's going to continuously grow. And we probably going to sound different 2 years from now than what we sound like now. You know, I would say start. And when you have those moments of anxiety, like sometimes I'll be in the studio and I just can't get something right. It's more so when I lead, I'm a perfectionist. He'll record something, he'll go off the field. If it sounds right, of course, he's not just singing off. He'll be like, that's fine. A lot of times I want to re-record something over and over. He'd be like, no, keep that, you know. Sometimes you have to block out your anxiety and the negative thoughts with a positive thought. You know, I don't know how people are going to receive this. Then a thought would come to me and be like, well, if you never do it, they're not going to hear it at all, you know? So I would say just start, you know, cancel out your negative voices. It's easier said than done, but just keep going. If nobody supports you how you feel like you want to be supported, there's always somebody who's listening. You know, it is crazy because when we launched the Instagram, my thing was, I'm like, nobody even know we've been working on all of this stuff. And then all of just the love and support and the views and the people like two amazing voices. I've been wanting to hear something from y'all. I'm like, y'all remember us? We recorded this in 2019. You know, just start. That's gonna be my suggestion because I'll go on a rampage.
Mm-hmm. And so, any advice for the people that actually want to pursue their dreams in the music industry or anything that they just want to do? Any advice that you have for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've literally been sitting here thinking about it. I'll say my last point, probably last, because I probably should start with the beginning. I will say, like, I think I would question, you know, if somebody were to come up to me and say, "Oh, I want to get my start in the music industry," I would probably just ask, "Well, what are you doing now? Like, what do you do music? Like, whatever, you know?" Because it's kind of like, for me, like that's a hard thing because it's like music is a part of who I am, and I've been doing it since I was little. And like, so the only thing on my mind has never really been necessarily to be in the music industry because that kind of separates music from the self. And it's like, I am music, like I am, that's just like who I've been. So it's kind of like, I think maybe start there because then also like I hear so much and people have even told me like, about finding a sound. I can tell you to this day, I have no idea what that means. I know what people's definition of finding their sound means, but I don't know what that means because I'm like, your sound, just like your life, is a compilation of everything that happens to you. So it's like going off of feels, for example, like that I do. It's like if something makes me feel a certain type of way, if I hear a sound, like there's, for example, I'm gonna bring this up because I got to bring the composition and get up. There's a part of the composition where we have a chord progression and our voices, like I mean, I'm sorry, we have our vocals are stacked in in the chord that sounds like a train passing. That was for a reason because that made us that evoked a certain feeling.
We should drown.
Yeah, drowning. Yeah. So it sounds like a train is passing you. It literally mimics that sound. So it's kind of like I would say just make music. Like get in love with music, make music, and also know that it's not separate from your life or who you are, and that it's all around you. So don't necessarily pigeonhole yourself. Like okay, I would say this. I guess define what that is. Do you want a career in music? You're trying to be somebody, or are you just a musician? Are you an artist? Like, then just do that and watch your life unfold and put you in different places. The other part, the second thing I was gonna say later is, honestly, this is gonna be an unpopular opinion based on all of the really like life coaches and stuff that are all out there. Don't be afraid to give up because you need a break. If something is weighing you down, it's not the right thing. That wasn't the right way for you to take it. Give up and take a break. Step away from it. It's okay. Step away from it. You can write when you want. You can, because then there's no tether to music. You can just express yourself. Because I'm telling you, as I said earlier, I did that 3 times. And the third time I was on national television. I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that's everybody's journey, but like, be okay to just let it go sometimes. Because that means you're pigeonholing it too much. You're putting too much weight on what's supposed to flow naturally. And that's how I feel about it. Like, you can be as positive as you want, but we all know this system is stacked up against certain people in certain ways, and people want certain looks, want certain sounds. There's also now social media that's all about trends. So marketing is looking for people that sound this way. You can't live your life like that regardless of what's going on. You can't live your life like that if you actually want to be true to you as an artist. Like, so that's what I would say.
Shoot, and even I'll add to that. Even if you don't just give up, like take a break, step away, and come back to it. If you are in it and working in it, and that's what you decided to do, even if you have a project, you can be overstimulated in this too. Like, he works on his stuff. You know, I'm coming out with something later on, but it's so much music in my head with our stuff. Like, he was working on his stuff first. Like, that was a well-oiled machine. Then we came together. And with our stuff, I didn't realize we've been working on this for 2 years. Like, we were writing, then we sent, it was like steps. Like, we'd come up with the demos, then we send it off to the producer, then he get us back the music. Then we got to the phase where we were recording, and it was just to a point where we were tired, like vocally, everything. That's why we haven't really rehearsed. You know, it just clicked, thankfully. But like, sometimes you gotta just, okay, we're gonna take a break for a minute. We got a whole nother song that the mixing is paid for. We didn't even record it because we needed a break. I was talking about the people in that studio, because sometimes you just have to like pause and then come back to it, you know, because you don't want to be just put out anything. You know, we got one more slot on the EP. Oh, we need to hurry up and finish this. And I will admit, I've been the one that will get in that mindset just because it's like you want it to be done. But then we had a conversation like, maybe we should take at least 2-3 weeks before we go back in the studio, because, well, we're probably going with his stuff. That's a whole other thing. But like, as far as our last song, we don't want to just throw something together. So sometimes take a break, be refreshed, and then come back to it, you know?
I mean, it's like Lauryn Hill said, you know, Lauryn Hill was like, you gotta, like, I'm not quoting her like perfectly, but she was pretty much saying like, you gotta live to make an album. Like, you can, what is this not living and having experiences and just making empty music? Like, what is that? Like, you have to have experience. And I'm like, yeah. And luckily, it's just that because we literally have not done anything, now we're 30, we got 30 stuff to talk about. So now we can get it all out, you know, so we got years of material and things to talk about, which is a good thing. So it's kind of like, also, I guess I said in another interview one time, like, I guess just don't rush.
Yeah.
You don't really need to rush, because you don't. Like, the only clock that's ticking is the one that you're making it tick.
Yeah.
You know, like, you don't gotta rush. Yeah, it's like when you arrive is when you arrive. Ain't nobody beating you to nowhere. You the only one in your lane. That's the other thing. You the only one in your lane.
Right.
But
yeah. And most definitely, man, you already know it is most definitely a pleasant soul. Thank you again for you know, tapping back in with me, Duke. It was a pleasure meeting you. I really appreciate y'all taking the time to sit down and chill with me, Duke&Sol. Oh my God. Man, look, y'all make sure y'all stay tuned for anything that they have coming, because I promise you, it's gonna, when I say chills, not only that, but it's gonna be something that 9 times out of 10 you're gonna want to listen to over and over again. So like I said, thank you guys for taking the time to kick it with me. You already know it's a pleasure. So this is our second time, Duke, first time, but y'all already know we're gonna tap back in. We're gonna tap back in later down the line in the future. And see where y'all are from that point, from this point to the next point, you know?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Hey, if anything, y'all have anything last that you want to say?
What? What was we have to do after?
Oh, well, nothing. We got something we gonna do for you after we done recording. We want you to get a sneak peek, you know.
Yeah. Say, man, look, thank you for tuning in. We're Kicking It with Dream, presented by Dream Big TV Productions. And guess what? We are out till next time.